I've covered this before, but I think I need to cover it again. On May the 4th, the New York Times put out this article, find a vaccine, next, produce 300 million vials of it, obviously for the population of America. Scaling up the manufacturing of syringes and other medical products required to deliver a vaccine to millions of Americans will be just as important as the vaccine itself. It goes on here. In the midst of national shortages of testing swabs and protective gear, some medical suppliers and health policy experts are looking ahead to another extraordinary demand on manufacturing, delivering a vaccine that could potentially end the pandemic. Making a vaccine is not easy. More than 24 companies have announced programs to develop a vaccine against the coronavirus. Like the coronavirus is the biggest thing the world's ever seen. 102 people in Australia have died in 5 and a bit months, but we all need a vaccine for this, supposedly. Here in the United States, more than 300 people may need to be inoculated. That means at least as many vials and syringes, or double that amount if 2 shots are required. So that was on May the 1st, updated May the 4th. Lo and behold, not even 2 weeks later, plan in place to increase production of pre-filled syringes for future COVID-19 vaccine. A deal for hundreds of millions of syringes that could be used to quickly administer a possible vaccine against BS19 has been reached between the US government and a private company. Didn't take long. The 138 million partnership is with Peekay Systems America, which makes inexpensive pre-filled plastic syringes designed to be used in developing countries. The aim of the Project Jumpstart initiative is to produce 100 million pre-filled syringes by the end of 2020 and more than 500 million in 2021 if a vaccine against BS19 becomes available. I'm sure it will become available. The project will help significantly decrease the United States' dependence on offshore supply chains and its reliance on older technologies with much longer production lead times. So in my earlier video, I mentioned what's with this pre-filled syringes shit. Maybe it's the microchip. Nah, surely not. They wouldn't be talking about a microchip, as you heard there was nothing to do with the microchip. We've had doctors here on 60 Minutes say, oh, no, don't worry, we're not going to shove any microchip in a vaccine. It won't fit in a syringe and all this bullshit. But let's just go to a week further. This is May 22nd on CBN News, and listen to what these people say.
Public health officials warned that when a coronavirus vaccine is ready, the next hurdle is how to get that vaccine out to the public quickly and in massive numbers. Joining me now is Jay Walker. He's the CEO of Peekay, a company that entered into a $138 million deal with the Trump administration called Project Jumpstart. Welcome, Mr. Walker.
Glad to be here, Lori.
So what is Project Jumpstart?
Well, Project Jumpstart is an emergency and temporary program in the battle against COVID-19. It's a public-private partnership between my company, Peekay Systems of America, and the Department of Health and Human Services and the Department of Defense. And its purpose is to ensure that by year-end, we'll have at least 100 million doses ready to inject of a vaccine or therapeutic, assuming one is available.
And now you are going to be making these pre-filled syringes for the vaccines. What's the problem with glass vial systems of manufacturing and delivering vaccines?
Well, there's no problem with glass vials. They work wonderfully, except when you need hundreds of millions of them all at once. The supply chain for glass vials requires not only that you have all of those vials and all the materials that go with it, but it requires that you have extremely specialized filling equipment to fill all those vials. All of that equipment is currently busy. It works on cancer drugs and other life-saving drugs. There is no excess capacity to fill 100 million, 150 million or more with a new vaccine. Therefore, The U.S. government has stepped out and said, we'll need to use another way to make sure that that vaccine can be delivered to people who want it.
So how exactly does AppyJect work?
Well, if you've ever used an eyedropper where you in your eye take a little squeeze bottle, that technology is called blow, fill, seal. And that is exactly the same technology we're using. There are eyedropper facilities in the U.S., not many, but a few, that we are going to upgrade so they can handle vaccines. Then what will happen is those facilities will make the containers right here that will hold the vaccine. We will add a needle hub to them, and voila, you have a pre-filled syringe that's ready to use.
So where will they be manufactured, and what is significant about that now and going forward?
I'll just stop it there. All this because of COVID-19, which, as we know, it's gone. The first wave is gone. Whether the second wave comes, who knows? Well, that's what they're planning. But is this the greatest pandemic the world's ever seen? We've had vaccines for so many things, but nothing with this shit. Nothing with this garbage. Why makes this COVID-19 so special? Like I said, 102 people killed in Australia in 5 months. Let's just keep going.
Well, we haven't announced yet which of the facilities in the U.S. will receive the upgrades. We're in discussions with all of the major U.S. manufacturers, but there are not many that do this on U.S. soil. What's going to happen is we'll choose one or two of those facilities in the next few weeks, and then we will begin to install all kinds of upgraded equipment that will all be approved by the FDA. Eventually, what...
Are you telling me this has just started in the last few months? This has never been planned years ago? All of a sudden, this has just come out in the last few months when, this pandemic supposedly was officially launched in early March? I don't think so.
What we're going to do starting next year is build entire new factories capable of doing up to 330 million.
All because of COVID-19. All new factories, yeah?
Million doses every month so that the entire U.S. population can be filled and finished from these brand new factories that we're building on U.S. soil.
How does the optional RFID chip work?
Here we go. Here we go. We finally mentioned the RFID chip.
Well, each of these devices that are injected have the capacity to also have a small chip.
Well, fucking blow me over. Oh, what? What? Maybe that's what it's all about. Oh, really? Here we go.
What that chip does is it has the unique serial number for each dose. It is designed so that there is no counterfeiting. It's designed so that we'll know exactly that the right dose hasn't expired.
Oh, so it's all about making sure that the dose hasn't expired and it's the right amount. It's all to do with the actual vaccine. Really, you need that bullshit in there because of that. This COVID is so huge that you need that shit in this supposedly pre-filled syringe. It's got nothing to do with, the RFID chip, microchip to control us all. Nothing to do with that, you reckon?
However, that chip only refers to the dose. There's no...
Yeah? We're going to trust you? It's only referring to the dose? Let's hear him say that again.
Dose hasn't expired. However, that chip only refers to the dose. There's no personal information, no patient information. It's simply like a barcode.
Really? Just like we're told this tracking app here, the COVID Safe, it's got nothing to do with that shit, personal information. No, nothing to do with that. We just want to track, the people that are positive and you've come in contact with people that are positive, and all that data will be thrown away when it's all said and done. Yeah, I've got a bridge to sell in the Sahara Desert, mate. You're as convincing as fucking, oh, what a joke.
Only we know instantaneously where and when that dose has been used. That also helps public health officials know when there are outbreaks, have we vaccinated enough people in those areas? That technology is purely optional, however, and the U.S. government hasn't even decided if they're going to use it.
Oh, really?
How quickly can you manufacture the vaccines, and what's your long-term goal?
Well, we don't make vaccines, Lori. Drug companies make the vaccines. They then ship them to us for the packaging. So our long-term goal is to make sure that no matter what vaccine wins or what vaccines and what therapeutics are available, America can fill and finish in these pre-filled syringes as many of the drugs as we need for U.S. citizens and eventually to have excess to export worldwide. Our goal is to make sure that on American soil, we have everything we need to protect America.
When do you think you might start filling these with the vaccine?
Well, the president has said that that vaccine will be ready this year. So if that vaccine shows up at our door, we're going to be ready to fill it as soon as it does.
Well, it's a fascinating new technology. We'll definitely be keeping an eye on it. Jay Walker, CEO of AppyJect, thanks for being here. Good to see you, sir.
Thank you for having me, Lori.
Wow, the vaccine's going to be ready by the end of the year, according to Mr. Trump. Vaccines take years and years and years and years to make, but no, this one will be ready by the end of the year. Let's just drag this flattening the curve bullshit till then, hey, and then bring on the second wave.